Salutation, my Siege subscribers. Welcome to our 2K, our 3K, our 5K, our 6K, our potentially 7K subscriber special. We had the idea for a subscriber special all the way back at 1,000 subscribers, but we had content in the chamber and we wanted to finish that before we got to any kind of special. That was just a couple months ago, and now we're nearing 7,000 subscribers. That's insane. I appreciate it so much. This channel is blowing up by my metrics anyway. With that, we had the idea to react to the history of the Siege Captain. Kind of like a little meta-analysis how I react to history with my channel. I put together some footage and we're gonna watch it together. We're gonna react to what we've been through and see where we've came from and where we are now. Without any further ado, let's get right into the Siege. All right, my fellow Siegers, what you're looking at here is the genesis, the origin, the day one of the Siege Captain building siege weapons. I had built PVC bows in my backyard following like Zed Not Alpha, and there was a guy named the Backyard Boyer. But I wanted to take it to the next level. My friend, we were playing League of Legends on Skype, and he was like, let's build a ballista. And we actually did it. And this is the ballista we built. So you can see it has a really long PVC tube. I think it was 2-inch diameter. The legs, awful. That little hinge point there, that's a piece of pipe. I still use pipe. It is very versatile. We didn't know how to secure the bow arm or the bow to the ballista. I know it's not a ballista, it's just a big crossbow. Don't correct me. So we just put it on there and then just used some metal straps we found laying around in my dad's garage. We built this out of the back of my brother's pick-em-up truck. And we went to the park next to my parents' house and shot it. We actually have footage of this sucker shooting. Here's another picture of it. You can see down the barrel. We were originally gonna build the trigger into the thing and have it like latch right into there. You can kind of see those cutouts. But instead we bought this release trigger off of Amazon. Amazon triggers have a long history on the channel. And we zip tied a pull string onto it because this is just like a shackle that it slides over to lock it in place. When you pull it, it opens up. So we zip tied a release string to it. This string going over it is so that when we release the trigger, this doesn't whip up back at us. That was our safety device to protect our faces from about a couple ounces of metal. So we have footage of it shooting. Just you watch. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Pretty darn weak. We were afraid to pull it back further because what we were using for a bowstring was just regular old paracord. Second of all, the friction on the sucker, that's just a 2x2 that we were using as a bolt, sliding against 2x4s. So it was not conducive to power. One of the big brain ideas though was using a boat winch rather than building one, because building winches takes a lot of time, but it's fun to do. I like doing it. So we didn't have a lot of power. We shot this a grand total of I think 3 times, and then it just sat around, wasted away, and then we burned it. But that was the first ballista I ever built. Prior to the channel, I built a second ballista with my brother at the house that he was living in. That house is where we shoot our catapult in the future, a little foreshadowing here. This is the first trigger we ever designed and built. If you ever scour the internet on how to build siege weapons, it's like impossible to find information. I want to build a compendium myself, but I still use triggers designed like this to this day. They work, I like them. They're simple, can make them. This is my first torsion ballista shooting, the only footage of it to exist left. There's the trigger, it's in a fixed position, there's no slider. We were in a rush here because we were building it at my brother's house, like I said, after work. And this was after a work day, we both had to work the next day. I was in college and school building this stupid thing. And we spent about 4 hours because when we went over there, we were almost done, ready to shoot for the day. And then 4 hours later, it was like 9:30 p.m. and we're like, we're gonna shoot this thing. And this is what we got. Dang. It was actually pretty good ballista for what it was. Learned a lot of lessons off of that. Mostly have more torsion. Torsion is power. That's all that really matters, is torsion. So then, in the interim between sieging and in between the siege captain and building these things, I tried doing a couple of video game YouTube channels. Who hasn't? It's like a rite of passage to be a man. You got to start a video game YouTube channel. Okay, I didn't like it. Playing video games for like 3 hours, then trying to edit the footage into something watchable just made me puke. No one wants to watch that. But it was fun. I liked doing it. I didn't like the editing part. Still don't like the editing part, but it's besides the point. So then I got the idea. I like siege weapons. I like YouTube. Let's make some videos. So here we are in my father's garage. The origin, the same place that PVC ballista was built, at the end of the driveway. We brought it to the front of the driveway in the garage and we were building. This is the first episode of The Siege Captain. Listen to this excitement in my voice. I was so hyped.
Welcome to building this torsion catapult. In the past I've built a torsion ballista, but I wanted to take what I learned from that and improve on it, make another iteration of it.
But what is life other than learning lessons? So first of all, I learned that if I was going to record in my father's garage, The Big Bang Theory was going to be playing the entire time. We had to mute The Big Bang Theory in between shots, and eventually we just gave up and just recorded the footage and decided we were going to do voiceovers later. My father's garage wasn't very conducive to me building things because I was in between houses, so I basically had an entire wood shop inside his garage, which he has set up to work on cars. I spent a lot of time in there. It was a little chaotic. I appreciate him helping me. He did teach me a lot. After that, I moved out of my parents' house into my house that I live in now. I had to set up my workshop. I got married as well, so I was a little bit busy. One of the biggest lessons I learned, and you can take this to the bank though, is I'm much more entertaining as a personality than I am good at woodworking. So after spending like 2 years building this stupid catapult because I needed to like record the footage, edit it into something watchable. Well, my editor Ryan was doing it, but wait for him to actually do something. And then we would go back and build some more and record more footage. It just made everything take super long. So stopped recording every single thing that I did. Got the catapult finished. I was so hyped. I'd been on this catapult for like a year and a half, 2 years. And we were gonna go shooting at a gun range that we go to. It's just in the middle of a field. We loaded up in my friend's old pickup truck here. I don't remember what year it is. I wanna say 78 Ford. And they're gonna call me stupid because I don't know what year it is. But we loaded it up, we bring it to this gun range. We get up to the gun range and there's some old fuds up there that are like, you brought a catapult to a gun range? And we're like, yeah, we're gonna use it for trap shooting. Ha ha ha, do you care? And they're like, no, we don't care. So we get it out to the gun range, we get it set up. These are my friends here helping me. They're using their weight so that I can torsion it up. Tons of rope on this sucker. We got a huge pry bar. Ratchet systems working perfect. I test fired it once in my garage, but this time we have a lot more torsion. And that's when another reoccurring theme happens. Menards lumber is not to be trusted. Who knew that if you buy the cheapest, most affordable lumber, it's weak. It's gonna break all the time. It just doesn't have structural integrity. It is not long for this world. You can see it destroying itself. We drove an hour. I was excited. I brought guns to shoot, but I was just excited for this thing. Shot it once. The basket came off. The melon went 3 feet. Just a mess. Absolute mess. I was thumbsing up, but I was despair on the inside. There's the damage. I was ready to give up on this catapult, but then I thought, like, I've come this far, I need to see it through. If it's humanly possible, consider it within your grasp. I rebuilt the entire catapult off camera, reinforced everything, got everything set up, built a new arm, better torsion system, the works. I bought a pre-made trigger off of Amazon because like the trigger I was using was kind of stupid. Brought it out to the house where my second ballista was built. That is where that ballista was shot. The footage we saw at night. This is where that ballista was shot. And here we are shooting this catapult. Here's all of the previous breaks, the catapult breaking. We load up the football. The house we were at where we built the ballista, his name's Steve. He's a great guy, but his dad was there. And Steve was worried that his dad was gonna get upset because it is his dad's house. that we were going to shoot rocks out of this thing, so we had to shoot a football. I was a little disappointed. We got to rock throwing later, but you know, when you're at his house, you have to respect his wishes. So all this time, 2 years in the making, we fling a football that far. I was ecstatic, but after 2 seconds of happiness, very disappointed. The trigger broke. We propped it up at a 45-degree angle. We swapped arms. We retorsioned like 7-fold. We started hearing a bunch of creaking and cracking. We had to use pliers to release it. We loaded up the rock. I was too scared to shoot it, so my brother did it. We got the rock that far. I was like, oh my God, I can't build anything good. So the trigger's completely broken now. Torsion this thing to its limits. As you can see us digging into the wood, we were putting our full weight on it, jumping on the sucker. We got as much power on those things as we could get. This is where I learned my lesson that if you're gonna use torsion, it needs to be metal on metal. It cannot be metal on wood. Wood is feeble, wood is weak. The feebleness of wood makes me long for metal. So we got like 2 years in the making. This catapult started in my father's garage. We're at a new house, the original launch site of my first real ballista. I know this isn't a ballista, but it's a torsion catapult. It's torsion, okay? I love torsion. And we have this thing torsion to its max. We had been out in the sun. It was like 92 degrees that day. We had been out in the sun for like 6 hours at this point, troubleshooting the ballista, retorsioning it, propping it up on cinder blocks, the works. And it was like, I just want one more shot and then we're gonna go get drinks and a burger. And this is what we got. Now that's pretty impressive. I always said my goal was to throw a rock further than I can throw it by hand, and it did it. That was a 15-pound rock and it threw it, I think it was like 45 feet. You can do the math on the power of it, but for what it was, I was happy with it. So then, to tie together two things we'd learned, that I'm a better personality than I am a woodworker. While I was building my next project, we decided to take a little detour into me just speaking, giving some context. I'd been reading a book on the history of catapults, and I thought it was just the most fascinating story in the world. It really was, it really is. And so my editor and I decided that I was gonna do a talking video and while building the ballista. So then this footage would be for him to edit while I'm building the ballista, so that when the ballista's done, then we can do that rather than recording me woodworking. We made this history of the catapult video. Still one of my favorite videos I've made. I think it's really well done. I'm not the best at speaking on microphone while holding it. I've gotten a lot better, but the energy was a little low in the video, but the video is really good. I'd recommend you go watch it. Moving on from there, we get to the ballista. I take every lesson I had learned from my 3 other siege works, and I came up with this. I'm using metal, I got a welder, I have homemade arrows, as much torsion as I can get. I did so much research watching YouTube video after YouTube video. I was like copying from Todd's workshop, Zed Not Alpha. There's a YouTube channel called Acroballistics or Acroballista. Some guy in Italy who builds ballista, and the greatest tip I got from him was the more strands in the torsion box, the better. So you get like masonry line. It's just, you know, skinny nylon. You can get tons of wraps in there. And we built this ballista. The trigger was working, the slider was working, the winch was working, like everything was going great. And then my hubris got the best of me and I tried designing some more silly custom arrows. So then on the day I was completely ready to show off the ballista. We have tons of power on it. I'm ready to go. It's been shooting great. And I try using these silly custom arrows. This is the Heckin' Chunker. And you can see the bowstring just slides right under it. Doesn't go anywhere. So then we try a different arrow and it works. And I'm like, well, why does this one work? I missed my target. The biggest issue on the ballista was the trigger was super hard to pull. So I would aim it and then I'd start yanking at the trigger. And once it released, who knows where I was pointing. I destroyed a couple things in the garage with this thing. I tried the Heckin' Chunker again with some modifications. Same issue. Try a different arrow, doesn't work. I'm getting upset. So then we go to the arrow that I think isn't gonna work. And of course, that's the one that works. The smallest arrow, it's super light poplar rod, and it works. Lots of power. Still can't hit the watermelon. I'm getting annoyed at pulling this trigger. It's like hurting my hand yanking on this rope. But look at that. That's pretty cool. Arrow sticking to plywood. So I break out my stick welder for some impromptu welding to give myself more leverage on the trigger. Great welds. Look at that masterpiece. Look at that stack of metal, the booger welds. A little words of wisdom to you guys. If any of those like YouTube welders or internet welders try telling you, you gotta start with stick welding, you have to walk before you can run, do not get a stick welder. They suck. They're just the worst thing ever to use. Unless you're like welding a building together, you don't need a stick welder. Just find a used, cheap wire feed welder on the internet. Get yourself some shielding gas. It's gonna cost you like $150 more, but you're gonna spend like 30 less hours and you're actually gonna get good welds out of it. Just get a wire feed welder. So here's my trigger. I added that onto it to give myself more leverage, and now I can release the ballista just great. I'm trying to hit that watermelon with the chainmail on it. Oh, that chainmail was built even before that PVC ballista. Me and my editor Ryan fashioned that chainmail, chain by chain, in my parents' basement. We never finished it. That's as big as we got, but that's pretty good. So we have the modified trigger, we have the small arrow that's working. I'm feeling confident, and then we learn I can't aim. And I shoot right over the top of it. It goes over that wooden board, through my bandsaw, hits the wall, the arrow shatters, which I was kind of excited about because if the arrow's breaking, that means it's a lot of power. Try the heckin' chunker again, break my arrow track. I throw this arrow, cast it into the fire. We then get a misfire. So far we haven't hit this watermelon, and we've been shooting for like 3-4 hours. The ballista's fallen apart. And then finally, we load up an arrow without fletchings, just an arrowhead. And I think we miss, but we hit a watermelon. Look at that melon dripping. Oh my God. Ecstatic. I'd never been so excited in my life. And then we get one final shot out of the guy. We get that chainmail. Not only do we get the chainmail, but that arrow is sent clean through the chainmail. It shattered probably like 10 chains on the chainmail, leaving a giant hole in it. Really impressed with this ballista. I've made some more modifications. There's going to be a video on the ballista coming up. Subscribe for that. It's really good stuff. Yeah, so then the final siege weapon before the cold winter sets in. The first catapult. I learned about this weapon from reading my book and my history of the catapult video. You can see more on this weapon in the history of the catapult. The gastrophetus, the belly bow. This weapon was amazing. I took my knowledge of triggers, my knowledge of having the slider down the middle, like the rail or whatever. I learned how to make a bow, an arrow. I learned how to make bowstrings. I knew how to make arrows from the ballista. I took that and applied it to this, and we get this thing. This thing it's a dream to shoot. It still works to this day. It was so simple. Without telling my wife how it works, she was able to shoot it. Not saying that she's dumb, but she's never really been around siege weapons. Look at how beautiful this thing is. I think it looks good. I know it's just cheap Menards lumber, but she's pretty. Straight as an arrow. But Siege Captain, that's a bolt, not an arrow. Don't correct me, I already told you that. So this weapon, I watched Todd's workshop video on a gastrophetus and just built it my own. That was basically my entire information on this weapon. There's like, again, when you're looking for information on siege weapons, it's just like little niblets here and there, and nobody explains anything, or if they're explaining something, they're literally just using like a mathematical equation to explain the force out of a torsion box depending on the rods that they used. And it's like, I don't care. Just tell me how to actually build this thing. And then they're like, that's the easy part, just figure it out. I'm like, no, the easy part is twisting up ropes. And the more you twist them, the more power you get. You can either add or take away ropes. Anyway, frustrating. Copied this from inspired by Todd's workshop. Built this thing. We're just gonna bask in the glory of me shooting this. It was light enough I could hold it by hand, easy to use, arrows shattering wood, powerful. I get some long range shots. I hit my garage door with it twice because I get cocky and think that I can aim all the way at the end of my driveway. This is a good shot. Whoever recorded this is a master. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God, what a dream. And then I realized my slider wasn't long enough to push it all the way back, so we can only go back that far. If I were to rebuild this thing, I would say that this this string is too high up compared to where the bow is, meaning there's a ton of friction of the string on the rail here, probably losing us a lot of power. Friction sucks. I should have waxed it or something, but didn't do that. Who knows? Look at this range. Skoom. Oh, that wasn't the one where I hit the garage door. That's the one where I destroyed my friend's totes and table. I would like to point out that that right there is a can of starting fluid, extremely flammable. That arrow was about 2.5 inches lower than that. I don't think it would have caught fire, but just a little safety hazard. So then winter comes, my garage is unheated, my hands would get cold in about 3 seconds, and we tie it back to the history of the catapult with Professor Siege Captain. I had been doing some shorts here and there, and I was getting a lot of traction doing YouTube shorts rather than just videos. So I devised this guy, Professor Siege Captain, and what we were gonna do is make like a history of the catapult video that's like 10-15 minutes long, and then cut that up into shorts, because that's what they say to do to get views. But also, I'm still making quality content because I just hate clickbaity shorts that have no purpose and you learn nothing and they're not interesting. Like, at least do something interesting. I don't know, I'm sounding like a boomer now. But anyway, so we do this. Professor Siege Captain comes along, and I love doing this guy. Wow, that sounds bad. I love being that guy. Professor Siege Captain is fun. This also helped me over the winter doing these videos to speak, to like actually talk, ignore the camera, just have fun with it. Like, nobody wants to hear me reading from a script. I suck at it. I don't write good scripts. Like, again, I'm a more interesting personality than I am script writing. So the next video series, Becoming the Rogue. I loved D&D growing up. I wanted to learn how to lockpick and throw knives, and I just kind of tied it into this YouTube video. This was a lot of fun collaborating with my friend on it and recording it. When I was a kid growing up, my friends and I, we always recorded silly just silly videos, skits of us doing things, and we played D&D together. So this was nostalgic to me. It was a lot of fun. I actually learned how to throw knives. I actually learned how to pick locks. So it was fun. There's the Stump series, which the stump's gone. I had my first live stream of me removing the stump actually got like 100-something viewers. It was quite successful. This was a lot of fun. Every day I'd come home from work and I would swing at my stump for like 5 minutes until it was going to be removed. But then I realized that was going to be way too difficult, and we ended up just burning out the stump. But the Siege Captain won. Then we get to the social media. If you want to like get people to watch your channel and interact with you, you have to go through other avenues. Okay, so on social media, I started a subreddit. I don't like using Reddit, but it's like the place to go to find people. I tried posting on TikTok. I think I got a grand total of 2 views on there. The obscure meme website that I'm not supposed to mention, called Funny Junk, I got some traction on there. I've used Funny Junk since the dawn of time. I'm not associated with them, okay? I don't agree with them, but I like the website. The most attention I got on a forum or social media was on a subreddit called Ancient Shitposting. And I didn't read what the subreddit was for, and so I thought it was like posting stupid memes about the ancient times. But no. It was about like shit posts from before the internet, so like a stupid ad from a magazine or something. And I posted my videos and content on there like 30 times before anyone told me otherwise. But anyway, that subreddit helped me out a lot. From there, I wanted to find a siege weapon subreddit, and the only thing relating to siege on Reddit is Rainbow Six Siege. I did play Rainbow Six Siege, but siege weapons are a lot cooler. So I started my own subreddit. You should join it, post on it. It's the greatest subreddit to ever exist. It will be someday. That's gonna do it for the 1K to 7K subscriber special. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all that you guys do. A special thanks to the commenters, the people that have commented on multiple videos. First, we have that Rackin94332 guy. We love him. He comments on every video. He's always the first to watch. He's always the first to like. Be like him. Next, we have Fudgy Trees. She also comments on every video. Then we have Checkers26, another in real life friend. But two people that comment somewhat frequently that I don't know. The first is Pancake Paladin. You're great. And some guy named I Am Diogenes. I am honored to have Diogenes commenting on my videos. That's wonderful. The Siege Captain is an eternal student. I want to learn from you guys. I don't want to just post videos and just get subscribers and just get views and whatever. I'm here for the interaction. I want to know what you guys want to see, what you want to hear about from Siege history. Siege history is so fascinating, and it's so underrepresented. Like, there's those videos of like sieges happening, but it's just like the squares moving around on a screen and they kind of talk about it, but like, it's such a accurate historical representation. It just makes it like, it's interesting to me, but it's not fun. It's not exciting. It's cool if you're into that kind of stuff, but like, I want to make it interesting to people who aren't necessarily into that, who are like tangentially interested into it. So that being said, I just rambled on, but just like, I like the interaction. Comment down below. Let me know what you want to see, what you like, what you don't like, all that stuff. Other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Follow me on my socials. I hate saying that, but you know what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. And with all that being said, siege the day. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Must have been behind the siege.
It's so crazy.
Are you recording now?
I am. So I need to stand like from the door off to the left so I can see Yoshi.
Like here? Is this good?
Or maybe like stand by a green and like walk on and look at Yoshi and then do the and like come closer to the camera too.
Big Yoshi. That's gonna do it for the...
So maybe step to where you want to step, stop, give it a sec.
I was gonna walk. I was gonna move around. Okay, no walking.